boat sales places, Fishtail Marina or whatever it's called, right down the road here now. I think they sold out. Walker, I think is the name of it. So we can go to those locations. We can go to the Coast Guard. You know, everybody I think wants to help out, and if we can kind of again unite and come up with different tactical solutions, I think we can make a difference. So education is one, and then getting to the public through the newspaper, through, you know, however we want to promote whatever else we would promote on the island. I mean, you see restaurant, bar, happy hours all over the place. Why don't we give a little shout out to preservation of our wildlife? And the turtles do get some shout outs, which is good. And you do have a lot of people focusing on it, and I think we need to continue that as well. But the manatees, as far as, again, what really struck me, I mean, you know what happens. I try to be careful being a jet ski owner and former boat owner, but you know, you just have to educate people what to look for, what it means, and try to make a difference, because leading with 21, you know, boat deaths compared to just our neighboring county, which has 3, that's what strikes me the most. It's like, okay, what are we doing? And that's another thing. I don't know if you guys or if the council or if anyone for that matter had reached out to Collier and see, do they have any tactics in place, or what are they implementing down there, if anything, that they have a fraction of what we have just next door? I mean, the waters are similar.
Okay. Well, thanks, Leo. I think we'll discuss this when we get to a point in the meeting where we can do it.
Okay, great. Thanks.
We come up with some ideas. Okay, Roxanne?
I was not here to make public comment. I was here to support Leah.
Okay.
And make sure that she got to speak when there was an opportunity for her to speak. And I just want to explain that I'm going to step out of the room because Joanne and I have to be so careful about violating the Sunshine Law. So she can't say anything when I'm here, and I don't want to be muzzling Joanne and her assistants to you. So I'm going to step out.
They might like me muzzled.
I'm going to step outside,
You notice they're going-
but I appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I'm willing to help with this in however I can.
And Roxanne, sometime we should talk about trees.
Oh, yes. Phil, you and I'll fill you in. There's a lot
Okay.
to tell you.
I know a lot of arborists. Okay. Okay, should we move on? How you doing, Roger? To the fertilizer ordinance. Shannon, you want to give us an update on the meeting with council?
Well, I met with council after getting some good news from the DEP, and we can go ahead with I don't know if you all looked at the Seminole County fertilizer ban. They have a really good idea I wish I had come up with. They're not doing an absolute ban. They had to come up with a basin management action plan because they had 2 recently classified impaired waterways, and they say you can't apply nitrogen or phosphorus lawn fertilizer to landscape plants or sod unless you have your soil tested and it is deficient. And the soil testing has to be done by an approved laboratory such as the Extension Office at the University of Florida. I was told that we qualify for approval for this in Fort Myers Beach because of the status of Estero Bay being an aquatic reserve and also an outstanding waterway. He said we are well within our right to do this because we are trying to maintain the water quality that we have in an aquatic reserve. And we are an island on all of our runoff ends up there. So that was very good news. I printed out the copy of that. I gave it to council. So we can go ahead with this. We can model it after exactly. He said we can copy. He said the word copy. We can copy this. So we can work with whoever's taking Ray's place. And
Right, so we have the actual verbiage we need then. We don't have to.
it's in here.
Yeah,
Yes. I mean, here.
we just have to pick out what we,
We have something that someone has used.
okay.
Yeah, this has been approved.
So
And
we
this
just
is
need to
what
look
Kevin
at it
said.
carefully.
This is what Kevin said he would approve for us as well.
So are you suggesting that that in its entirety becomes a new?
Well, the first 2 pages deals with the fact that they have impaired waterways, and so we don't have that. So we would have to say, you know, where it says whereas. Our reasons are not because we have impaired waterways. Our reasons are that we haven't established a 20-something year aquatic reserve, more that's older than that. And we have an outstanding water, and it is deserving of special protections, and We want to maintain the water quality that we have, and I listed some other stuff, and he said that was fine. The part that we can, theirs is actually more strict in other ways than the model ordinance.
Right, that's my question, yeah.
Yes, it is. Like they have more, longer setbacks from, they also have, they call them low-maintenance
Which-
zones, which is like a retention pond, which is kind of what Bay Beach has, those little ponds. And we don't really have those except for Bay Beach, but
You can apply those longer distances, correct, from the waterways and canals?
yes.
Because you've gotten the
Yes.
approval, basically.
Yes, so this is what he referred me to. Seminole County has like 5 towns in it that also have very similar ordinances, so we have to get him to sign off on it, and so we have to start the process of writing it, so anyway. But this is just, that was my happy news, so.
Well, should we make a draft out of this, or is this something we should hand off to the town? This has already been given to the
Ray wrote
town.
the glyphosate one with the lawyer, so I don't really know who's gonna do that now that we don't have Ray. She was the one who did the whole, she used another town's model for the glyphosate one, and then she and the lawyer wrote it, but,
Do we have her copy
of what?
of what Ray wrote? Do we have that? We have that.
We don't,
That was
for
for
glyphosate, but not for
yeah.
this
Yeah,
one.
not for this
Not for
one,
the
okay.
fertilizer, no. I haven't even started that one, so because I don't know who does it. I don't know who's gonna do it, since Ray's leaving.
I would suggest that you have the town manager here to ask and Mr. Hernstadt here to
Hey,
ask.
people, right here.
You got who you need to know.
Right.
So, yeah, right, we're in the process of replacing Ray, and we hope to either be able to find an employee. If not, we'll use a consultant on a short-term basis till we can find an employee. So, but since you had the conversation, if you could forward that and along with the person you talk with,
No problem.
and we'll have assigned to someone on staff to take it to the next step, which would probably be to draft it, bring it back to you, make sure you're in concurrence, and then we'll send it to council.
Thanks, Roger. So you're going to, now you have somebody who's scientific is going to replace Ray, or are you just going to divvy up your job to people on staff?
No, we're gonna get someone scientific.
Okay. Okay. So I think we know what to do there, so we can move on?
I think so.
All right. Okay, reusable bags. I've got like 4 boxes, maybe 5 boxes in my garage. So that's 250 bags left.
I have a box at home, but I'm saving them because they go like mad. But once people realize you have them, they want more than one. So I figure when the snowbirds come back in my area, I'd like to make sure they get some too.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, but we're also going to, part of this is to talk about, first, like a quick summary about who the bags have gone to, just so you guys know, is, we haven't been going up to hotels and saying, do you want bags? We're letting them come to us. First come, first serve. That way we're not showing any kind of preference. But a couple of hotels, or property managers, I think that they've been given to some condo associations and some of the local charities. They're handing them out, and then we have some here behind the counter at the town hall, but we're not advertising we have them. Well,
Just,
that's true.
I gave over 200 to Distinctive Beach Rentals because Amy and Lowry said she'd put them in the rental houses.
And from what I heard, some time ago, the Sea Gypsy people, Scott, I gave him some, met him on the beach, and I asked him specifically to keep track of how long they stick around. And he told me that if they're new, 3 out of 4 visitors will take them. If they've been put through the wash and they look a little rough, they stay. So that was an interesting conclusion. And also, I was at Publix here on the island, and I asked the checkout clerk if she sees a lot of these bags, and she says she's been seeing quite a few. So that was right to the intent of it.
She's seen me bring mine several times.
Maybe it was just you going all the time, Joanne.
I've been giving them out to people on the beach in the morning when I walk, and they're really appreciative, and I see them using them time after time. And then I gave some to the Matanzas Pass Preserve Board, and Tree and Dan took some for their business, Mango Street Inn. They took about half a dozen, and she said she would try and keep an eye on them, and once again see if they disappear or if they can be reused by their guests.
You know, you expect some leakage, and they're pretty cool. Okay, now, for the next step. You ever figure out how many logos we can put on that bag, Steve? Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we can get 16, 2.5 by 4 3/8.
Little grid.
Yeah, a grid. With the cutoff corners, I mean, you essentially can't print on there, I think, is the problem.
Right.
Even though it unfolds, you can't print. You can see he printed down to the seam here, and you can go up to the seam here. So,
And then what size would the print be in that, like this?
whatever you can fit in there.
So
Maybe
we
just
can
a
decide,
logo.
we can
It's
make
gonna
it
be a
any size.
logo. It's
Okay.
gonna be a logo.
If
Yeah.
Whoever buys the square gets to choose what's on it.
Yeah, and that's assuming you use the exact same bags.
Yeah, I think we have a source for them now, so.
Yeah,
Printer, yeah.
yeah.
Roger, you have
I
a,
was just gonna say, you could sell the squares, so if someone wants to buy 4 squares to have a bigger logo, 4 continuous squares, you know, you could just do it that
There you
way.
go, yeah.
Or 8 or 1 or whatever.
yeah,
You know, if it's seems to be popular that people want their name on, I'm wondering if you might give preference in location on the bag or something to businesses that are green certified, that have bothered to be green certified, like marinas, hotels, anybody who's gone the distance to do something environmental. Maybe we should give them a little priority in the location of where their ad is or whatever. I don't know, just a thought.
yeah, maybe from a business standpoint, giving people preference to who cough up the money first is also a pretty good thing too.
Yeah, yeah, because we've toyed with this already. I mean, we brought this to the point where I think we had about 10 or 11,000 built up. Our target at the time was 15, and then we took the turn and had the town sponsor it. So,
And I don't remember exactly how many bags we made. I know it was over I think it was over 3,000.
yeah, that's and the sum was the cost was 10. Was it right on?
Yeah,
10?
we that was our
That was our budget.
limit was 10,000.
Yep, that's what we spent. Okay, so that being the case, we could sell 16 spots at $6.25 each. So instead of, last time we were selling them, they were 1,000 or 2,000.
Or we could do $1,000 and make more bags. Yeah, just for the math.
Oh, sure.
And then what would how many bags would they get?
That's
Do
a
you-
big, I mean, you and I went out, Bill, you know, I met with a lot of people, and $1,000 is, and the problem is we need to ask them for it now in the summer, before, you know, the season starts.
I think 1,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
We could do a run in the summer that's a little less, and then maybe
Or we
buy
How many
could,
bags
more,
are we
have a
gonna get?
bigger-
we could take some of the squares and like the bottom row
3,000.
and knock them in half.
3,000
That's
again?
all, yeah, I mean, technically.
So we're going to get 3,000 bags.
How
Yeah,
big
but
did you say the squares are?
The numbers are way different, Bill, than when we first did it, which is
Yeah.
a consideration also. This was sourced locally using the municipal, you know, the rules of using US made. So there's other options if we find one of the vendors actually that might process the paperwork for us. That would collect an invoice.
Didn't we say we didn't have to use American made if it's all,
Correct, yeah, I mean, there's a
Sponsored by
consideration
private
there, of
money.
course, but yeah, the numbers were way different.
Well, then, only if we were to essentially outsource the whole thing away from the town. Because the town collects the town will get the money and then the town will buy them. And
They
so the
will do
same-
that then,
The
okay.
same rules would apply if that's the way we do it.
Correct.
And I didn't get, I mean, we could reach out to other organizations, but a lot of them have the rules too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the opinion we have a process here. I just think that it's, you know, if we did want to try to improve numbers, that's what we'd have to jump through.
How big are the squares?
2.5 inches by 4 3/8. 4.5.
But the other idea is if we want to make it more inclusive, like maybe we can have more in the bottom row, maybe.
Well, we had 2 flagship spots for $2,000, and Chuck Bodenhaf bought one for a member of his wife. So it's a $2,000 spot. I'm assuming he's going to come up big again. Margaritaville's committed to it. The Captain Eisner over at Fishtail. So we had about 8 people that have committed. We were looking for sponsors at the time. We told them we'd get back to them later for the finances. So we have a good start, I'd say.
You know, if we go for, the other idea is if we go for 1,000, we can just hit whatever number we get to. And then we have extra spaces we can, gift them to nonprofits, like, a Turtle Time logo or Captains for Clean Water, that kind of thing. And if we get all 16, we'll make more bags. If we get 10, then we'll do the same thing.
Magic number is 10 grand.
That's what we did last time. But, this is a lot easier because he'll make as many bags as we have money for. If we want 3,000, 3,500, 4,000, doesn't really matter. He'll do whatever there's money for. It's a lot simpler than dealing with, China, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we should deal with China. I think it's too difficult, especially now with what's going on with terraforms and such. But there are alternative bag manufacturers. I could go ahead and get another price from Cheap Totes.
Source these, and the printer finished them for us.
No, the printer
Rusty
got them, but
Pete's.
he got samples for us. He got like 3 different samples.
Okay,
For us.
because consideration obviously is a larger bag.
Yeah, and we
More
can
sponsorships.
we can. I don't know. We might have to. I know the town itself may have to get multiple quotes, even though we've done it with them before.
But
But, we have a target, though. I think the one thing about having somebody you've done the work for before, and I know this is a lot of work for him. He told me all about it. It's a big job
he
for
did,
him.
Truly
yeah,
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he also talked about getting in, being able to, with his next run, to afford a more automatic machine. So, that hopefully there won't be an issue going forward for him. But I think that at least we know what the bottom line is going to be. If we can get more bags at a better price from somebody, that's an improvement. We know at least we have a base with him. And so we can use that as a target.
Well, how do you want to move forward then? Do you want to look at more bags, or do you want to just?
I think, well, my personal opinion, and let everyone else know what you think, but I think we should just run with this, and when it comes to actually ordering them, as long as we get something equivalent from somebody else, and if they do it cheaper, then we can look that way. But the problem with a lot of the places that I know that Mary Rose and I looked at is they have their bags,
Right.
so
Well,
they
do
don't
we-
have this bag.
Do we have to get 3 quotes again? Because this is a completely different order, and do all that again?
We may have to get quotes. I think if the town's going to have to buy stuff, then
Yeah.
But we can use this as our example. We can go to a
I
business
think we
and
can
say,
use
here
this-
it is, it's going to be very similar to this. This is what we are offering you. You can buy 1 square at $1,000, or they're not squares, rectangle, for 1,000, or whatever combination you want at multiples of 1,000 even. Is that what we want? And we're going to tell them honestly, we're going to use that money to buy as many bags as we can.
Yep, we're not making any profit out of it.
No profit, and how many bags do we owe you? Or we're not even going to mention that we're going to give them some?
Well, I think that's, I was kind of careful with the last batch since it was town paid for, to try to go to taxpayers. But I think, if this is going to be sponsored paid, then I think we should aim more towards distributing through the sponsors.
Yeah, I figured you'd give them at least half.
Yeah.
So at
Something like that.
3,000, you'd get 1,500 bags, and we'd get 14, 14 and change, they'd get 15 and change.
Yep, so we can tell them that.
So then we can then use those for events, which is what we were originally planning to do last time.
Right.
But with a much, we were planning on giving away 5, I think, and keeping 10,000 bags. Yeah, those are huge numbers.
So we say we're going to use your money wisely, we're going to buy as many as we can, and half of what we get, we will split up between all the people who've purchased this
Exactly. Yeah,
batch.
but I'd prefer to actually have it calculated, and then you can go and say, this is what you get, and this is the size check we need.
Have an actual number.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we can reach out to Krusty Pete's and, David and find out, tell him what we're planning and see what he says to. I don't think his price will change unless, if his back is healed. It should be,
Well, I mean, what would you consider of actually just selling the 16 for 625? That would get us 3,000.
Well,
I mean, is there a reason that we wanted to change it? I know there's other considerations. Maybe
Oh,
we want to have
you mean you go over
sponsorships and
the-
charge over and stuff. Yeah, but what if we just,
it would be, well, it might be kind of nice. It might be an easier sell if we maybe go to Krusty Pete's and get a round number of bags as opposed to a $10,000 target. You know what I
Right.
mean?
yeah, sure.
So, if we can get 4,000 bags for, 11,000, that makes maybe more sense than getting 3,221 at 10 grand.
It's an easier sell to say $625 than to say 1,000.
Yeah, but then we have to complete all the 16 squares to move forward.
True.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem.
No?
I was confident last time. Took a little bit, but we were 3/4 of the way there.
Okay, well, let's
We have a head start.
let's talk to David. We'll set the price. So we'll figure out what he'll do for us and make sure that things haven't changed. Because, like you said, with the tariffs, it's affecting a lot of stuff around the world.
Sure it is.
And I'll reach out to our previous sponsors that have, I talked to earlier and see if they're still in.
Okay, and if you want to go out and do another Steve and Bill Roadshow, let me know.
Yeah, oh, I will, because that was successful. We sold bags. We got sponsorships.
Good.
Okay, yeah, and I think we move forward to this because we're, like Roger was right, we burn through those bags in a hurry. Especially when you go through organizations. One at a time isn't bad, but, I said the Beach Farmers Market and gave like 250, and I was intentionally not there that much because I could have given away 1,000.
It's fun giving them out one at a time on the beach. You have conversations with lots of different people.
The word is out.
Oh, well, doing positive things on the beach. Everyone who's contributing to a happy time on the beach deserves a bag.
Okay, anything else we need to talk about with that?
But do we need to get 2 more quotes, or are we just gonna go, what do we,
Well, first we have to get the sponsors.
okay.
So I think we're a little ways down the road before we
Okay.
need to work on quotes.
Well, I just wondered because,
Well, we might be halfway there. Steve has 8 names, right, who said they would before.
Yeah, it doesn't have 8 checks, though.
Oh, no. I had, I wish for some reason I have the paperwork here. What was the, maybe
she had more than 8.
I thought you're,
I think I had $9,000, but we were shooting for 15, I think.
yeah.
At that time, yeah.
I think I had about 9,600 actually. I think it was almost at 10.
Pretty close to 10.
Okay, yeah, you're
So-
almost there.
But I like that, getting some of the heavy hitters and trying to get them to buy like, a quad of 4.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention before we stop talking about this is I really like the message that is on the side that you want to cover up. The message that says, tape it with you and use it on the beach, and please use it for the next person. So if we're going to cover this with whatever, could we maybe put that at the top or the bottom? Just so that it's, oh, yeah, I can leave this here at my rental, because, provided by a vacation rental, please, not the whole thing maybe, but just something that says,
Yeah, but
can
I
we
like
leave
this.
it for someone?
Well,
like
Because
this
that's kind of
too.
what we want. Leave it here.
but yeah, I'm looking, if you look at the other side, and where Steve stopped drawing his grid was because he thought you couldn't print beyond the bottom of that logo, which would mean on the other side, there's not a lot of room underneath that you can print stuff.
Change it a little or put it up, because look, here's the top. Steve's got stuff going up to the thing. Well, yeah, it's not, okay, I'll put it down.
Let's have a conversation, we can have a conversation with with
yeah.
David about how the printing and
Move it up a
what
little.
makes it easier, difficult, but, because one of the ideas, the wording on the one side came from an idea that someone had to put a tag on the bag, like if you were,
Oh, yeah.
that the hotel would put a tag on the bag saying, please return this, as opposed to having it printed. But we just had an extra side, so I threw it on there. But I appreciate that.
I like
But
it
then,
on
see, they
there,
may
just-
not, if the sponsors are having these for their customers, they may want them outside, because, in some ways, the dynamic has changed. They'd probably much rather see people with their logo on an environmentally friendly bag in New Jersey or Fort Myers or somewhere else, because that's advertising for them, for people to come here. So, if we do offer the idea of putting a tag on there, then maybe, then it can be up to the people who give the bags away if they put the tag on or not. And I know that I heard that Distinctive Rentals was at least mouthing that they would be interested in sponsoring.
Oh, I did, yes, I did, well, that's why I didn't, should I say that? Didn't give her all the ones that she asked for because I thought maybe she, is that terrible?
Smart move.
Sorry. Sorry, Amy.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, Steve, I'll talk to David about the next production run, and you go and fire up your old contacts, pitch it, just start with the people who were interested before, and I'll go for it.
It was 8,500. What was, 7 people that sponsored, so we'll see.
And I think, if we want
Did.
to do 625 or, 650, whatever the number is, we'll come up with, let me get a thing from David, and then we'll just make a decision on what's a good target, so it's a rounder number. But I agree, being under 1,000 sounds a lot
Yeah,
Yeah,
better.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
without question. Yep.
okay. Anything else in the bags? Okay, glyphosate.
Big roadblock,
Yeah.
big Department of Agricultural roadblock.
So I went to the last council meeting, and Shannon gave her presentation on glyphosate. Apparently, there is a preemptive law about pesticides, and I'm not sure about I didn't really look at, I can't really find what's a legal definition, but it seems like pesticide is an umbrella term used for herbicides, insecticides, everything else. So I don't quite know where we go with that.
Did they get back with you?
Well, no, the town council directed us, directed legal staff to remove all references in the draft or the proposed ordinance referencing pesticide, which arguably would take the ordinance outside of the preemption language, because the preemption language says the regulation of the sale of pesticides is preempted to the state, and that we would just leave in the reference to glyphosate as a herbicide. But as you mentioned, we've since gone on to both the state and the federal registry, and glyphosate is registered as both a pesticide and an herbicide. And as I understand the reason for that, is not that glyphosate is a pesticide and that its direct application will kill insects or pests, but rather by acting as an herbicide, it deprives pests of their habitat, and therefore is considered to be a pesticide. I think that's splitting hairs. So we are going to move forward with the revision of the ordinance as directed by the council. We will reach out to the Department of Agriculture and point out to them that we believe that the revisions that we will make to the ordinance take it outside of the preemption language, and see how the department responds. We obviously will have to also remove the provisions within the glyphosate ordinance that actually talk about restricting or prohibiting the sale within the town. So all it will say is that we as a town are prohibiting its use within the town, and see where we go. And then the state may continue to assert that it's preempted, and if so, then we'll report that information or that position to the town council. The town council will then give us direction or move forward with adopting the ordinance and give us direction to see what happens.
So you're saying then that pesticide is not an umbrella, it's not like we're saying you have oranges and apples, and it says we can't ban fruit. So both those are considered fruit. An insecticide and an herbicide, are they both considered pesticides by legal definition, or are they just making that
Well,
tangential argument?
Yeah, it does appear that the glyphosate in of itself does not kill insects. So if you were spraying it in your yard and there were ants in the area that you're spraying, it's not going to kill those ants, as I understand.
But that would be an insecticide, not a pesticide.
Well, I mean,
It'll kill the milkweed though, and so that'll deprive the monarchs from.
and that's
eliminating, yeah.
how the state appears to rationalize classifying glyphosate as a pesticide. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
But at the end, there's another public comment
So,
period.
you know, we will, as I said, we will move forward with amending the ordinance as directed by the town council, and see how the state responds.
Yeah, because I mean, I can be a pest, but I don't think, you know, you want to declare, my wife to declare a gun as a pesticide. Although maybe it is.
From a biology standpoint, like, you know, academic standpoint, yeah, pesticide is an umbrella, and underneath it is insecticides and herbicides. So if it's an herbicide, it's a pesticide.
I guess it comes, that's one of these really weird things about the law. Sometimes
It's just a
words have
classic.
very, very specific meanings. And
Right.
so, pest, are plants pests? Or does pest mean like insects and rats and, you know?
It's just the scientific classification of an herbicide happens to fall under the umbrella of all pesticides. That's just how they're defined.
Like rat poison's a pesticide.
I'd just like to comment that the town council, you know, you have full support of the town council in terms of our desire to accomplish this as a stewardship of our environment. So we're going to see what we can accomplish. So-
Well, I don't know if it's going to help, but I left voicemail and I emailed Kevin Coyne at the DEP, and I asked him if there was something he could direct me to talk to the DEP about, if there was someone else maybe we can get, I don't know, home rule or some kind of an exemption through the DEP. I don't know, I'm just stabbing.
Well, and I don't know if Mr. Herron would want you to do that or not, or.
Well,
Oh, sorry, I didn't ask.
I'm
I
just
didn't
saying.
ask.
my view of the issue is, assuming the council directs us to move forward, we will revise the ordinance, we'll put it before the council, we'll, you know, we are not taking it to the council this next Monday. We're going to take it 2 weeks from now, so to give us an opportunity to reach out to the state. Again, we'll report whatever the response may be from the state, which may be, no, you still can't do this. And then it'll be up to the council to say, you know what, we respectfully disagree with the state and move forward. At that point in time, it'll be up to the state to take some action to preclude the enforcement of the ordinance on preemption basis or whatever it decides to do, and we'll then deal with the issue at that point in time.
Is there, how did the state find out about this? Did somebody submit or just?
That, I don't know, but I suspect that someone made the department aware. We certainly didn't.
Well, I mean, it has been pretty public. So there's lots of different ways, but you know, honestly, it's probably better to do this earlier on than have the town go all the way along and then get caught in an expensive lawsuit. So, you know, I think earlier is better to try to do this, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, I think I like the path they're doing. It's giving every attempt we can to do this in a way that should be legal. And if it isn't, then,
The reason I say that moving forward is because then at that point in time, we may get into what I would call potentially the more scientific issue. Is this really a pesticide or is it an herbicide? Because the preemption language is pesticide. It makes no reference to herbicide.
and I think I read two different definitions, and one mentioned pesticides, and, you know, one mentioned herbicides as being a pesticide and the other didn't. But they were not a legal definition. They were just, you know.
Correct. Now,
Web stuff.
if you go on to the DEP and Department of Agriculture's website, there's a registry of what is approved as far as products that contain various chemicals in the form of pesticides and herbicide. And Unfortunately, at this point in time, glyphosate appears under both those categories.
Yeah, they've got, they can afford lawyers.
And lobbyists.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming in and talking to us.
It's here anyway.
Yep. Okay, anything else with the glyphosate? Okay, then let's move on. Okay, MRF issued certifications, Island Yard certification. I don't think anything's really happening without
Without
Patty.
Patty.
Without Patty,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
So, okay, now the sea turtle
Okay.
lighting certification was something you were working on, Steve?
That's correct. Let's continue to work on it. I won't have it probably by the end of the season. Or it would, does it make sense to start the education that's supposed to come from that by the end of the season? So I'm hoping to get it started. The other aspect was to use it with the environmental, with Ray's position also to also do basically do the sort of it's a presentation or an education guide, and then get Ray to also come and do an evaluation, which he's doing now, as you well know. So that's kind of part of it. So I'm wondering, I'm not sure where we're at with my sidekick for the program, but anyway, that's where it's at. Not quite finished yet. Still waiting for some stuff from the Sea Turtle Conservancy. There's a lot of information out there.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's so much turnover on the beach. I mean, there was it's a few houses from us, and the people that were there sold it, and the new people went in and put floodlights all over the place, and then they took those down and put some other ones that were still floodlights, and then went by the other day and they had along the side of the house were these giant lights.
Isn't there some kind of mandate you can say for the local real estate sales that they have to mention that? They have something about sea turtle lighting? I mean, that's the state.
It's actually in the rentals. I mean, it's right there.
Well, this
They
isn't,
post
if
it
this is
and-
a new owner, this is an owner that,
But I talked to the manager, like all the sign, and then, because they had the lights on, but all their house lights were off. And I knocked and no one answered. And then I called them and, they said they give them all this information, the renters. But I think a lot of times renters, I mean, if it's a lot probably more productive to train the homeowners and try to let them know that, they're going to be liable and this is going to be an ongoing pain in your rear unless you get proper lighting up, that you don't have to worry what the renters are doing. Because the renters, next week, somebody else is in there.
the renters change the light bulbs? Or what?
No, but there's usually a switch.
Well, so why can't they just change the light bulb and the switch, and then, why can't the owner put the amber lights
The
in
owner
there?
can do simple things. They can change the light fixtures.
How many
they
owners does
could-
it take to change the
They
light
could
bulb?
lock the switch.
You can put things on timers.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things they can do, but people just don't know that it's an issue because they just moved here from somewhere where they don't have sea turtles.
So the renters are the ones who,
Well, I think you can educate the renters, but then you're educating a new person every week.
Every week, and that's what.
So why can't the
A lot of times
homeowner-
that's what happens.
Yeah,
why can't the homeowner just change the light bulbs?
they should.
Is
They
this the
should,
basic
and
question?
many have. I mean, they've
Yeah.
taken, the program, the purchase of the turtle-friendly light bulbs has been a huge success, I think. But if somebody's inside with the drapes open, and they leave their lights on all night, it just
Oh,
shines out on
that's
the
what they're
beach.
doing?
Well,
And
no.
that
Inside
doesn't
light?
happen every day. It's just
Sometimes.
that kind of stuff is what
Sometimes it happens.
So,
Sometimes
but
it
you're
happens.
saying this was a floodlight on the outside of the house?
This was outside, and
And the
the
owner
thing
of the
about it also
home-
I found is that, because I've went and I've looked, and I'm sure you
Oh,
have,
yeah, yeah.
Joanne. I've looked at turtle-friendly light fixtures, and there's a site where they have a whole page of different light fixtures, but they're all manufacturer links, and you can't actually get a hold of them. So the only ones that I've managed to get a hold of are these little plastic cans, and then one other kind of fancier-looking plastic can. That's it. So people want nice-looking lighting on the outside of their nice new beach house, and what you get is a plastic can.
Okay, so you called the homeowner, and the homeowner said he told the renters not to turn the lights on?
Told the property manager, and the property manager says that they leave information, they instruct people not to leave lights on.
Okay, and the property manager can't change the bulbs. Aren't there fines for this? I don't understand this.
Well, you know, if it doesn't matter, if you have a floodlight and it's turned off, it's not a violation.
But isn't a floodlight facing the beach a big no-no? Isn't there a law against
It's
that?
on
There's a
after
state
nine-
law,
if
there's a
I-
Lee County law, and there's a
It
Fort
is.
Myers Beach law, so
It
how is this
yes,
still
it
happening?
Well, it's
is,
not-
yes, it's enforcement.
It-
If it's on after 9 o'clock.
But yeah, but if
they
it's
can be
not
fined.
on, if it's not on, then it's really, I mean, I have floodlights. But we only use them in the winter.
And the floodlights don't have to be,
If they're off, they're off.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't, you know, if they're off, they're dead. I mean, there's no violation. It's a matter of having the actual light on during certain times and certain months. That's the violation.
I see this as a problem.
But see,
It
with,
is a problem.
see, with us,
It is.
with us,
This is
It
ridiculous.
is a
Yeah.
big
Then
problem.
why don't you make the floodlights have to be turtle-friendly all the time? What's the problem?
We're trying.
well,
Isn't this a state law?
I think, you know,
Isn't
and
this
part,
a
and
state
part of
law?
what
Big
we're,
law, it certainly
and
is.
part about
What's then-
part of the whole idea of the certification is really, is convincing the homeowners that it's in, especially if they're renting to people who are coming in and out every week and they don't have control over it, convince them that it's in their best interest to just make their whole yard turtle-friendly.
Doesn't a fine kind of say that? In
But it-
big letters, you have a violation? Doesn't
Yeah.
that say you're
The
doing
fine
something
can be
wrong?
argued, and then people have to be willing to go to numerous meetings and be forceful and insist that this fine be levied and stick, and not let people just escape with warnings, which is what has happened repeatedly. We lost an entire nest last week because there were lights on at a shuffleboard. 136 hatchlings
Went towards the,
went toward the shuffleboard lights. Someone
so did this person
didn't even
get fined?
realize probably, and it's in the process, who knows?
Or
It
was
takes
this-
forever for that to even happen.
We've got a 20% right now, 20% disorientation rate, which is
A
like the
terrible rate.
manatees. It's like 3 times Collier County's.
Okay.
We do need
for
to get a
some reason,
handle on
yeah.
this. We do.
Yeah.
And the sooner the better.
And so are we going to have,
Is that-
right now, that's one of Ray's responsibilities also. I mean, I
Well,
think you've
she-
ridden with her. I know
Yeah.
Roxanne has ridden with her, and I think a lot of the
I didn't get to. My husband got to meet with her on the beach doing an inspection one night. I didn't get to ride with her. though, but,
okay. But yeah, once a week, I think, Wednesdays or something like that. But I think sometimes people realize Wednesday's the inspection day. I got to make sure.
I think though
everything's
that
okay.
20%, that shocking 20% figure, is definitely
That's a-
something that we should have in the
That's a lot.
educational pamphlet too, because it's not saying
Oh,
something
sure.
that rarely happens.
No,
This is
I
something
agree.
that regularly happens, and that's a
Right.
big
Yeah,
difference.
they've been coming here 30 years.
Yep.
They've been battling
Every year
it,
that
so
I've
it's
worked
gotta
with
be a
Turtle
better way.
Time, it has happened every year.
Do you know, Joanne, at all, what type of, the quantity? I know Ray was doing quite a few early in the year, but just the violations, right? And, you know,
The
actually doing
number of the
quite-
violations or number of bulbs she sold? What do you?
No, violations.
Violations.
You know, I don't know. Last year and this year, you know, they really were working hard on it. And just to let
Yeah.
you know, I mean, we get nasty letters in the paper. People are furious at us for enforcing this. I mean, so there's this educational component of trying to make people realize how important this stewardship is, so we don't have this battle going on, because the goal is compliance. The goal is not really to do fines or anything. The
Exactly.
goal is to educate and have people
Dark
follow
beach.
along, and let's be good stewards. So it can be a delicate dance, because, you know, the town is us. We are the town, right? We're trying to serve, we're trying to be good examples. And so that's why Ray and I had talked about it and started the light bulb thing, trying to come up with some common sense things for a friendlier approach and yet still stewardship, whatever, to help draw people. But it is tough with all the rentals, in all sincerity, because even though when you put the bulbs in, then people still like to leave their drapes open with all the lights on inside the house. And a different tenant every week, and people honestly don't feel the love or the personal responsibility or the stewardship. They just don't, and it's tough.
Well, I've had someone tell me that when turtles start paying taxes, that's when they'll start worrying about their lights. It's hard to have a comeback for someone who has that attitude.
And that's what, and that's what you're up against, and unfortunately, that's when fines, most times with code enforcement, You can just say, were you aware of this? They'll say, no, I didn't. Let's work together.
Right.
Let's work this out. Let's have compliance. When you don't have that individual, that property owner, that's why you have fines. That's why you have the magistrate. The town doesn't like to be that person, but when you're dealing with people who do not have any interest in complying, and no matter what the regulation is, you have a system that's rather complicated, and it can be messy and unfortunate. We'd love everybody to just say, oh, that sounds great, yeah, I'll comply, that's great. It's not how it works.
Well, it
but-
sounds like we do need to talk to Collier County if they have, whatever you said, 3%,
You
and
know,
see what they're doing.
Don't forget, there's different things too because of, the setbacks. Like, when you think about Sanibel and how much wide open space they have and how far their buildings are set back, and people don't even own near the water like they do on Fort Myers Beach, And so their community design and character is different too. We are a very highly built-out community that incorporated after it was too late to shut that door. So we're battling with our own character too, our own design.
And a lot of times the older buildings are the ones that are hard to retrofit. Because people will argue things like, I know there's one kind of condo and they have lights on, they have kind of like an external hallway that you can see from the beach. And their claim is, well, if I put turtle lights, then I'm going to have people falling because they can't see where they're going.
Yeah,
So, but one of the kind of unfortunate things, some of the regulations, there's no such thing as like a best efforts. You're either, it's got to be sheltered, it's got to be the right kind of light, and it's got to be a certain amount of power. You can't say, well, if someone's going to violate for safety, then instead of just using a higher powered red light, or, LED, they just go with the regular
I
light.
think the town has made a very concerted effort to work with Turtle Time, all the advice and everything we have from Turtle Time, to work with the property owners and to try to continue to come up with ways to encourage stewardship and provide some convenience for those who do want to comply to have the light bulbs. If other people have other ideas to help us, bring it on. But one of the big things is that people not be outraged when people get fines. Say,
And I think a lot of times people are surprised, and then they get their back up. Because I made a point when I called the property manager, I told her, I live on the beach. If, this is going to be an ongoing headache, if they want to know what we went through and what we did, and, we can talk about it and help you through it, just in a neighborly thing, nothing official. I said, have them get a hold of me.
but I've told this story before, but it's just true. I've had one speeding ticket in my life when I was younger, a number of years ago. And I knew I was speeding, but when the policeman pulled me over, I was still outraged. I still thought, what, there's murderers out there. Why are you stopping me, this fine, upstanding citizen? Well, frankly, I was speeding. There was no reason for me to feel outraged. I got caught. And when we get, there's a child in us that still does not like to
It's
be,
defensive. Yeah.
gets defensive. So, and that's a difficult part of the whole code enforcement thing too, so.
I thought there was some kind of a film or something you're supposed to put on your windows if you face the beach that don't let all the light out.
But you do, that's code as well, and,
So even with that,
Yeah,
it's
even with
not
that, that's
enough?
only a partial thing. Because, it's a 45%
It's not enough.
opacity. That helps, but it isn't enough. And
Now,
I
is
don't,
that-
it seems to be kind of an odd rule because, maybe by putting that on the windows, people think that they're free, or maybe it's enough of a difference where, it can be the difference between disorienting and not disorienting,
in all honesty, we're having an open conversation here. I've questioned that. I'm still a little confused on that because, as you know, I live right on the beachfront. We replaced our windows with the highest whatever, and our understanding was then that we wouldn't have to close our drapes, that we wouldn't, we paid, a lot of money for these windows. And yet I'm being told, no, we still can't have the light on in the house in the evening. You go out sometime, forget the lights on, you come back after dark and you're like, oh my gosh, I hope this isn't the night they came by. But I'm still a little confused on that, what that measurement is, but.
Cast the light out onto the beach,
Yeah.
basically. And from my understanding, the modern turtle glass is in fact very effective. I think depending on where the light is and how close you are to the water, all those types of good things. But the film, I don't think is quite
Yeah,
as
but it's
effective.
just opaque, right? It doesn't shift the color, and it doesn't like
And I'm
like
not absolutely
kind of
sure. I
glass
see what
where
you're
it kind
saying,
of
right,
it-
where it's
it
changing
polarizes
the,
it or
the,
something.
And making it amber
wavelength.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
No.
it doesn't do that to the
No.
light. It's just strictly 45%. I mean, because we just got, we put a bunch of new
Because there's
windows
a
in.
film you can hold up, and if you can't see the light, it's a 650 whatever nanometer wavelength, so it's the amber wavelength, and it just disappears. This whole building can have these lights on it. You put the film up, and you can't see it. And you put it up to a white, normal light that's not turtle friendly, and it comes through as a blue. So it's actually, you could test it. You ought to grab one of those and go outside and hold it up. If there's no color, then you're fine.
Yeah, but we went as far as, we have those, and we have power blinds that automatically close. We have turtle season, and
That's fantastic.
and then we just, just because I'm lazy,
Or smart.
Well,
One or the other.
smart enough to be lazy.
Smart enough to not get a fine.
Okay, well, anyway, let's keep it up, and I think, I like that, come up with a draft that we can kick around a little bit too. Don't dot all
finish
your
it. Right, I
i's and
know, I
cross all
know.
your t's before you come, because I think, we want to make this a passionate plea too,
Mm-hmm.
not just the facts, but we want to make it really pull at some heartstrings.
And it sounds like we might need a sea turtle friendly sticker to go on houses.
Oh, right, a little sign,
A little-
absolutely, like
just a
turtle
little
friendly,
sticker
yeah,
for the
turtle
window.
lighting friendly,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
yep. You can put that on their, on
And,
their rental information and.
Order about 1 million of them and we'll be.
A lot of people go and look at the turtle nests.
Yes, they
I mean,
do.
turtle nests, even though you can't really see what's down there, they're just
There's a
sticks and
lot of
tape.
people
They're
that-
hoping to.
They are a tourist attraction, and maybe somebody can talk to Eve about is that if a turtle nest is in someone's yard and they have some certification, maybe we can put a sticker on the nest saying this house has been certified.
Yes, something like that.
Because that would be like that would be an easy thing to implement. And
Well, then people would
Actually,
see it
all the
and go-
neighbor houses too.
And say, oh, what does that mean? And then,
it's a badge for
Yeah.
people to wear
yeah.
on their stick.
Well idea, yep.
Okay. Anything more with the educational pamphlet? But it's been a great turtle season. It has been awesome. So many nests, and a lot of good things are happening. And then there's been no really wild storms that have come through either.
One thing I'll bring up actually is it's my impression that a lot more people are aware of, if they are on the beach, because a lot of people like to go on the beach at night. It's kids, they don't want to go back to the hotel or whatever with the kids or their houses, and everybody wants to go out and look for crabs, but a lot of them do have red lighting. It's amazing, actually. I'd say that's within the last year. So somewhere that aspect is coming out. Maybe the signage has improved, but I find that to be pretty interesting.
On here, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, because you can go out with the right red light, right?
Right, you can't just
Filter.
put a red cellophane over a white light. That won't
Correct.
work. It has to be the specific wavelength. But I think it's the same thing that it's bringing the turtle nesting number up. I think it's what brought the first green turtle nest to the beach, is that our conservation, it's taken a long time, over 30 years, but it's paying off.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing, and that's what we're seeing with all the attention, all the little things that we're doing to get people to turn off their lights and make our beach more turtle friendly. Bit by bit, we're going to get there.
And one thing that's kind of tougher now, I found too, is that so many fixtures are LED lights that have the LEDs built into them.
Right. A lot of little things are contributing to
But that makes it harder to find amber
this
light
positive
fixtures.
effort.
Bill, do you mind if I interject a moment? Only because I need to leave.
Okay.
And there was one thing sort of under my item and report, shall I say, that I just wanted to mention. It actually relates to Leah Gregg, to the public comment. And I just wanted to find out, we have a town council meeting on Monday. I don't know if you're going to come forward and talk about it, but I was going to ask the town council if they want to charge Murph with looking at the manatee issue and coming forward and make other recommendations besides the signs that we're already doing. And is Murph willing to take this on?
Well, you want to put that, because I have that down here to come down under member items since it wasn't part of our agenda. But we can talk about it now.
But I mean, you can talk about it after I leave and just let me know. I just wanted to plant the seed. And then the other thing was, the town council had a previous meeting where they talked about removing iguanas, that the state has asked us to remove iguanas. And I have to be honest, it was kind of a messy conversation, shall we say, because we have some people who are like, yeah, just, and others that recognize that perhaps, are there live trap options? Is there any other way, for different personalities and how they see handling an iguana situation? So I guess that's my other question that you guys could answer would be, and maybe when you come forward to town council, I wouldn't have to mention it, you could, Bill, in your report, so that these items were brought up, and does town council want you, to allow you to work on getting a little bit more information for them?
Because I think if you're going to talk about iguanas, invasive lizards as a whole, we have those African agama lizards. Are those
They're
in your
coming
industry?
now, too.
Oh, yeah, they're everywhere, and they're really fast and,
Those are curly tails?
no, they're,
Curly tails up by the lighthouse, that's that's
Yeah, they're a
a
little
chameleon
smaller.
or something.
Yeah,
Eyes go like this,
yeah.
tails go like this.
I'm
But
sorry.
those,
I'm
the ones
sorry I
Bill's
have to
talking
leave.
about have the red heads, I think.
all right. Just give us a couple more
I
minutes.
just want to make sure.
You can speak to Joanne,
Speak to me on the way out. Thank you, everybody.
but we'll talk about that, okay. Turf grass study.
Last meeting, that was stitched.
Yeah, until you
Actually,
got
yeah,
it.
that shouldn't be on the agenda.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah. So it's in the meeting minutes.
okay, so what happened with it? Didn't make the cut?
No, I think for time and, yeah, it didn't make the cut, yeah. No, I think just the objective and of attempting to grow it and the time it took and everything else, I said, it may still be worthwhile, but I wasn't gonna pursue it. And so nobody else on the council here was, or the board here.
Well, I was gonna mention that the new entrance to Bay Oaks used to be sand, and it was absolutely nothing, and if you look at it now, they're mowing it,
I saw
it's
when I went
gorgeous.
by, it's all grass.
It's
yeah.
green, there's no fertilizer, it's all sand, there's no
There's our
dirt,
plot
and
right
it's
there.
a nice green yard, so you know what, that's a good before and after right there.
Yeah.
You got grass and you didn't do a dang thing, and there you go.
Right. Yeah, it's
Look,
rainy
there's your
season.
green square. So, I don't know if we do a turf, I mean, it grows here. If you leave, I've got it.
Well, the whole idea that, and it was, I mentioned that at a council meeting, there was someone else here talking about water issues, I forget who they were. And they mentioned they liked the idea of the test, it's just a way to demonstrate to people that they, you plant certain things and you don't need fertilizers. But, like I said, you don't plant anything and stuff grows in Florida.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the design was gonna be to just put plots of the different species that grow down here, St. Augustine, and you got, what's the other one?
Floritan,
Floritan, and Zoysia, and the rest of them. But like you said, you wanna take a look at it right now, it's cheating because it's a rainy season, but we would basically maintain these plots and just keep them for, what, a year? Wait until the dry season also?
It's kind of the idea,
And
yeah,
not
to
let-
get it established in the wet season, so
Yeah,
we're not out there
yeah,
watering it. And
yeah.
we've been getting a lot of rain, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay, if it was removed, I'm not gonna,
Yeah, no, but I
we got
opened it
enough
up if
going on.
anybody else had wanted to do it, and nobody dove off their seat to run it, so I said, okay, I'll work on the lighting and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
got the signs
Yeah.
also built,
Yeah.
by the way. We got the seasonal signs all
I
posted.
put that here in
Oh,
my
yeah.
Okay,
items that
good.
wasn't on the agenda,
Since
yeah.
you do too, yeah.
Because that comes in, that's something we can talk about with one of the things we can probably do with the manatees, maybe. But okay, let's go on. The Murphy Award.
I have one for you. Do you have one?
I got a really good one. I bet you
Okay.
mine's
You
gonna,
can
mine's
put
gonna
mine.
kick yours butt. What do you think?
I don't know, maybe.
What is yours?
So I was gonna nominate a family, the Cajun Navy. They're our neighbors. They've taken us out. We went to on our way to Dixie Fish House for lunch, and they were in their pontoon, and it's our neighbors. They got two little kids. Well, we got a call on a turtle stranding. It was hooked at the pier. So we took the call while we were with them, and they went ahead and took us all the way over to the pier. And then when actually we took possession of it and took it to called Crow, and they helped us deliver it then to the docks over at Sanibel. So that was going to be my environmental good one.
That's a good one.
Did they have the kids with them?
They did, yeah.
Oh, that was
yeah.
good.
Oh, yeah. So
Did
it
you get
was-
a
Very
picture?
positive.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Do we have a photo?
We do. I was gonna put the photo of the family in there instead of.
Yeah,
the
good.
Instead of
Yeah,
the
the
kids right there.
that's what
they're
counts.
Looking at the turtle, I thought, I don't know.
All
I
right, my
do that.
money's on Steve because he's got kids included. What's yours?
Okay, well, I
All
think-
right, what's yours?
He
Okay,
was
mine is,
excited.
there's a family from Kansas City that I met on the beach. They had 2 kids, Camden and Finn Hatch. And the parents, they rented a place on the beach. And the kids insisted that when they went out for the sunset, that they took shovels so they could fill in holes.
Wow.
Because they were worried about the turtles.
Where did they hear
No.
about this? How do they know?
You know, I think they've been
Kansas City
coming like,
School
It's on
District
those
or
they've been
signs.
coming like
It's
every
on
year.
those signs,
Do
those
you think
seasonal
that-
signs
oh,
with the accesses.
maybe they
Fill
Oh,
in
yeah, it does
turtle,
say
yeah.
that.
Wow.
I've got
That's
kids
probably a
and
Murph
turtle
sign.
holes, but I don't have a sick turtle, so I don't know.
Yeah, right. We can use them both.
Well, hey,
Definitely.
I'm a big fan of being in the bank. And
Yeah.
exactly.
I will tell you, straight out, strategically, I like mine because turtle holes are an issue. And the sooner we get,
Yeah.
sooner we get the notice out there in a busy season that turtle holes are a bad thing and these people are doing a good thing by filling them in, I think the better off we are.
And we can use yours next because it's still turtle season
That's right.
for next month.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
Good.
Okay.
Great.
Sounds good.
So
Make a motion.
yeah, so we don't get in trouble. Okay, I make a motion that the next month's Murphy Award goes to Camden and Finn Hatch of Kansas City for their filling holes to protect turtles.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed, nay. Do you want to vote for the next month?
Might as well.
Yes.
Okay, so this is for,
For the Cajun Navy.
okay, so we'll have a motion that the next Murphy
Mhm.
goes to the Cajun Navy, whose name and picture will be forwarded.
Cheyenne Becky Gidry, Talon and Tanner, right, with information forthcoming.
Okay,
And
for
photos.
they're facilitating the rescue of a,
Of a Kemp's Ridley. that
Kemp's
was
Ridley.
hooked at
Oh,
the
Kemp
Fort Myers
Which is
Beach.
endangered,
Yeah,
right?
the most
Yeah.
endangered,
well,
yeah.
that's really good, man. We go through these months, we get nothing, and then we get 2 good ones.
I
Okay,
second that.
okay, no, I did make a motion for the
That's right.
clerk, and it was seconded by Shannon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Good Murphy session, I like that. Okay, now I was going to start talking about manatees, but I don't know if she's gone for good. She's coming back, her purse is here. Okay. But let's talk about these signs, the little metal signs. You stuck some up around, right?
So all of them, yeah. I went out just shortly after our last meeting, after I got them all, because I was going to take a look at them. I drilled them through.
I've seen 'em.
And I've actually gotten, I didn't send it. I was just finishing it for the meeting, and my printer wasn't working, so I couldn't print them out. But basically, I took a photo of each of them. I think there's 20 that are up, not including yours, actually. So yours would be 21, I think, Bill. And
You find easy places to mount them where they're visible and
they
not-
were, a lot of them,
Yeah.
they were on the reverse sign of another sign.
And
on a
they're
4x4.
obvious because of their silver or
Yeah,
metallic
they're
with the
bright.
black, but they stand out. They
Yeah,
truly
they're
do.
past the ones that you normally would see coming in.
Yep.
And they're on the backs of the ones that you would see sort of coming off. That tells you, like, the access numbers, or the call 911 and your access number is 22 or something. On the back of that, as you're going this way onto the beach, there's a spot there. A couple of them, they were on the pilings that made sense, but
You did a fine job, Steve.
I put the one about your kids are clean up after, your mom's not gonna pick up after. Over on Avenue C, is it? The one right by?
Oh, that's a good place to
Oh,
put it.
yeah. So, you know what? I haven't been by it. It's been there for at least a month and a half. So I'm wondering if it's still there. Because that would make it,
That would be an interesting to go through and
somebody'd
survey
love that,
that.
put that in their dorm, right? Town
Yeah,
of Fort
I-
Myers Beach,
Yeah,
very,
people love stealing signs. But the one on Connecticut Street, which is really not that sturdily, well, I guess it's pretty still, you need a proper screwdriver to get it off, but last I saw it was still there, so.
yeah.
Okay, well, that's good.
I'll send it out when I get home. Email it to you guys.
Good.
Actually put in put them in the slides, in the PowerPoint presentation, and there's a thing there in front also, Bill, if you wanted to actually make some notes about it, and then here's all the signs, all right?
Okay.
If it's useful for you,
No.
your political dealings
Because,
with the council.
Then should we start talking about manatees?
Okay, remember when the girl was here sorry, I'll just go ahead and start, Bill. Didn't want it. ask, I'm sorry. From the girl came from
We all have
DEP.
microphones for a
Yeah.
reason.
The girl came from DEP and said that some of the jet skiers were separating the moms from the babies. Remember when she came in?
Yes, yeah.
So I thought it was manatees. It was a baby manatee.
I think it was
'cause they were in the-
dolphins. Yeah, it
maybe
was
it was dolphins.
dolphins, I think.
So I could ask the DEP what they're doing, if they have ideas, what we can do.
I wish Leah was
Enforcement?
in here. I'd love to find out actually the statistics. I mean, so there's 21% in Lee County. Are those up in Pine Island?
No,
Are
she
they
said
up
there's 20
Captiva?
deaths in Lee County from just boats.
Right, and it could be,
21
Okay, 21.
manatee deaths in
Was that-
Lee
was that-
County, but
Yeah.
that covers all the way up to North Captiva. So actually, do we have problems
All the
off
way
of
to-
Fort Myers Beach or in Estero Bay or on Matanzas Pass, Big Carlos? Outside of that, we technically, I mean, if there's not a problem at those locations, or if those aren't high traffic areas, then does it make sense to
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm for
definitely we,
protecting the manatee,
Right.
but, I mean, it's always like,
Problem
okay.
areas, right?
Well,
I
also,
mean, I like to see the facts.
but yeah, I think you're right, exactly. We want to analyze where this is happening because, you know, like you say, we're a big area. You know, I was out, we were fishing in, was it San Carlos Pass there? Man, is that busy.
Oh, it's very
Yes.
busy.
You know, there are boats going
It is.
every
It's
which
always
way
choppy,
there.
Yeah, I
Yes.
boat a lot, and I can say yeah, it's choppy.
But, you know, I think that we have relatively few tools. Our jurisdiction is limited. We are mostly educational. We can't make any rules. We can't cite anybody for going fast. But I think that we can, you know, and also when they're happening. Because it's something you want to push now if there's not if the manatees are long gone, or you want to wait until they're around more.
Yeah, well, they're around now in the summer.
I guess
would
now
say.
summer's the season, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the slow, no-wake zone outside the channels until October 15th.
yeah, I think that if the council wants to charge us with getting some more information on this and talking about it, I think it's a good idea. And
I do too.
I'll
yeah.
certainly look into it. You don't know whether those deaths actually occurred in Lee County or if they just washed in also.
Yeah, to some extent, but I'm thinking, are they happening at the miserable, you know, over, you know, miserable mile over there is horrible, that whole area in Pine Island. And that's Lee County, so what would
Right.
I mean, we rent boats, maybe some of those people run up that way, so yeah, it would,
Yeah, not many people come from rent boats in Fort
Yeah,
Myers Beach and go
yeah.
up to
I
Pine
mean, there's a
Island.
lot back in the Estero Bay, but I haven't heard of them hauling it out of
Yeah.
Estero Bay. I mean, there's a lot back there.
Okay. Does anyone want to take it on themselves to research these 21 deaths and find out what the patterns are?
Well, I'm sure she has all the information.
Well, yeah, hopefully it can give us direction, but I would guess the FWC has it.
Oh, yeah. We
Sure.
can get some contact information from her, and she can
Yeah.
forward it. Get it from Roxanne.
Okay. Then, should we move on to iguanas?
Yes.
And I think if we're going to do iguanas, I really think we should do invasive lizards.
Invasive lizards in general, sure.
Because I think they like those agama lizards. They're big enough, I think, to go after bird nests.
I have, yeah, I must have 20 in my house,
They're all over the place.
and they're huge.
They're fast.
And they go all the way to Connecticut. I've seen them on Connecticut, and they're all up and down my street.
Yeah, they're moving south quickly. The problem with the iguanas is they eat the vegetation, and that's what people see. Their plants are disappearing, whereas these other lizards, I don't know that they do.
I don't think they do, but they have their effect on the environment is.
Oh, I'm not saying they don't have
predatory.
the effect, but I think it might not be as visible to people. They don't see the
And I-
caterpillars getting eaten and the butterflies.
Right,
and-
and I think that the other thing with iguanas is they do property damage.
They
yeah.
undermine your structures
And
and
your
your
seawalls,
Really?
and seawalls
Oh,
are really.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
dig.
they dig all the time.
They burrow.
Oh.
And they have, did you ever see their claws, how
Oh,
long
yeah.
they are?
Oh,
They
yeah.
can really burrow, and
So,
they poop a lot too, which I heard, it's piles up,
And I
and
heard
people
that
find that
there's a
dirty.
huge one at Mound House that's almost 5 feet, and somebody said that they eat migrating bird eggs.
I'm sure they would.
Yeah.
I'm sure if they found a nest.
yeah, I think,
I don't know that they
Yes.
actively hunt them, but if they come upon them, I'm
If
sure
the
they'd
nest
eat
is
them.
there.
I know I've heard they eat orchids, and if one comes in our yard,
That's it,
Branda's
Branda's gonna kill it.
There's gonna be nothing that is, is
She'll
gonna
hang it
be, nice and pleasant about the death of the iguana. I guess we were on the record for that.
Uh-oh.
Just joking.
But it'll be a peaceful, painless death.
Just because it'll be very fast. What I think we maybe didn't do, can we,
How are we supposed to kill them? I know they said humanely, what are you supposed to do?
well, I think we could, maybe let's
you
try
catch
to,
'em?
let's try
I
to,
think you hire somebody who traps
what I
them
say.
and they take them off
Find an expert.
and dispose of them.
Sanibel's done this. I read an article. I don't know if it was recent, but he went out and the town hired him. and
Contractor?
them, right?
He live traps them.
Yeah.
But then he also, you know,
dispose of them.
Iguana boots or something? Does he sell them? I mean, does it matter?
you can eat iguanas.
Oh.
Yeah, there was, I
on a
saw,
stick?
oh yeah.
I saw a show, one of those cooking, those wild cooking shows, and they were in the Keys, and their guys are eating iguanas. But,
On a skewer?
yeah, I guess they're kind of taste like chicken, I assume.
Yeah,
Are you aware where they're at? I know maybe they're by
Oh,
your
yeah.
condo.
yeah, they're by my condo.
I've
They've-
seen 'em
they're
on
far
Shell
south.
Mound.
They're behind Chapel by the Sea too.
Oh, yeah.
I went in the back one time. There's 5 or 6 of them there's a empty lot back there. I looked and that stick was sticking out. And I looked again and they were good size.
There's one
they were-
in the oak tree next to my house that's got to be 4 feet. He lives up in that oak tree.
We don't have any
Yeah.
mid-island. There's none by
That,
me.
that, I am Mid-Island. I'm right by
Not the-
Baptist,
No,
Beach
the
Baptist.
middle of the island, mid-island, not Mid-Island Drive.
Oh. I'm by Beach Baptist.
Stero, off of Sterling.
Maybe you just don't see them.
So, yeah, and I know, because I know that, okay, we have the Ogama lizards, which are a recent thing, probably the last like year or so. We used to have curly-tailed lizards, but once
They're by the lighthouse.
We have a
They're
bunch.
all over the lighthouse.
They're all over my neighborhood.
The little
curly-tailed
spiral.
lizards?
Curly tail ones with the,
Spiral?
no, they come all the way around the
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Largest ones are about that big.
They're all over lighthouse.
Have you seen this guy?
What's that?
Wow.
Chameleon, look at his.
Yeah.
toes, but
How
he's
long
big
is it?
one.
oh, it's like
This
a
is
gecko.
probably 9 inches long.
Oh, my
Where is
goodness.
he?
He was on Falkirk.
Oh, that's
So
on the island?
So
The
that's,
only one I've ever seen.
Is he invasive?
He came off my.
that looks like gecko feet to me.
Exactly, yeah, I think so too.
That's a beauty.
Yeah.
About this
Bill, I
long.
actually went to the invasive critter website for Florida, and I reported the agame lizards that are actually from West Africa, if you care. And they didn't have that they were here. They only had them as being in Dade County. So I took a picture and I put all my information in there, and
And
They
they're,
said thank
and
you
they're
very
getting
much.
established.
so they've been here since I've been here, and I've been back for 5 years. So that's, I got a mama in this yard. It's got to be this big in my yard. I can't catch him. He's faster than I am.
Yeah, yeah, I think we do need to reach out to an expert, and maybe we can get some advice. I know if you ask advice from like probably the, Florida Wildlife and all that, they're gonna, tell you to treat them humanely and freeze them and that kind of stuff. But the trick is actually getting them.
Right. So would it be,
Are there certain?
Steve's saying that the town of Sanibel contracted with a guy to come.
Specifically for iguanas.
So did
Yeah.
he, well, when does he stop? Does he
I
just
can't
keep
remember the
doing it?
result of he didn't have as large an effect as maybe as they had hoped. But I think they have a real iguana problem there because of all the open space.
So if we contracted, I mean,
No, the homeowners would have to do it on their own. We could just,
I think it was in Florida Weekly.
so they put it on like city property and maybe the golf course in Sanibel
Yeah.
and stuff like that, so. Oh, yeah, how do you catch the 5-foot one at the mound house? That's city property.
with a very large trap, I
In
guess.
fact, Russ Carter told me there's 3 big ones at Mound House.
You shoot it,
You can't discharge a gun in the city
a pellet
limits.
gun, I think, on your
I
property.
don't think a
On your
pellet's
own
gonna-
on your own
Yeah,
property.
I don't think
Your
a
own
pellet's gonna
property
kill
enough.
it.
A pellet gun will kill it, yeah.
You think it will?
Really?
Yeah, a German, yeah, a good pellet gun, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Iguanas are not. I
But
think probably with a stick.
Yeah,
or
but
something
obviously
long.
you have to be very careful.
You don't want to get hit with that
Oh, so
tail.
like-
So would I make that recommendation, council? Probably
No.
not, but
Give
you're
Beach
allowed to do
Patrol.
it, actually.
So
Yeah,
is this-
have them pack in little pellet guns.
No.
Mm-hmm.
We have a pellet gun. So is this what we're researching? Is that private citizens options and maybe having a town option and?
Well, I think, you could probably do a lot of trapping on town property, like right-of-ways and that kind of stuff.
Trapping is in those metal traps you trap a cat in? They're gonna go in there and get cat food or whatever they eat,
I think they put a,
salad?
They bait and they,
they put a mango slice in there, and they say they can't resist it. They
can
go
get
right
out.
in the trap.
Oh, they do eat the mangoes at the Mound House.
Yeah,
that's-
they
that's
go
the
right in the trap,
iguanas,
I heard.
yeah.
Well, we can call, I guess,
First of all, are we going to admit that it is a problem that needs to be addressed? I think is the first step, and then we can think about the ways to address it.
So do we need to wait for town council to tell us this? or-
No, town council came to us.
Who brought the, who brought
No, I
the-
thought Joanne said
That you're, somebody messaged,
Yeah.
you know,
she wants to know whether she
went-
should bring it up and
then they
they'll
direct
send it
us.
to
Council
us.
meeting, yeah.
So can we talk about it now, or should we wait till they tell us to?
No, I think we can, I think we can
Well, it was brought
research,
to
we
our
can
meeting.
do all
It was-
kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
That's
oh, no,
true.
it's a
It
different one.
didn't-
So
That's
I think,
requirements.
let's assign somebody to talk to Sanibel
So let's talk to different people, right?
and find out what they do and maybe contact some, if they give any leads to people who do it professionally, let's get a hold of them and then we at least have a plan. Because council doesn't particularly like us going there and saying, this is a problem, we don't know what to do about it.
Okay, I'll contact Sanibel, and I will ask them about their city plan and what they tell private citizens.
And I saw one of the
I can-
Agama
I can do
lizards
that.
in
If it's
Africa.
solely iguanas or if it's all of the lizard
Okay.
families.
Yeah, and I think we can, I would like to push because, iguanas aren't a problem in my yard. Man, those Agama lizards are everywhere.
Yeah.
But how, I mean, how would you?
And we don't have any more anoles, although a lot of those anoles are invasive
Oh, we have a
too.
lot less, that's true.
We truly do.
No,
Yeah.
We really
no,
do.
are, Right.
Yeah, I think
They're
the
getting
green
eaten
ones
by
are
the
native
Yeah,
and the
a
other
ton of
ones aren't.
those.
Yep.
We had the little red-headed guys you're talking about?
Little guys with the,
Reddish,
Yeah.
Oh, we have
Yeah.
a lot less, that's
No.
true.
Absolutely. That's
we have
who's
some in our
eating them.
screened enclosure.
All these
That's it.
invasives are eating them.
That's,
Curly
okay.
tails are eating mine.
Yep.
Well, that's the thing too, when you have one invasive lizard chasing another invasive lizard, who do you root for?
Right.
But the agamas, they eat butterflies, but I haven't seen them, I don't think they'll eat eggs. They're too
So
small.
ask Sanibel if they have an agame policy, do they even have it?
Or just say what do they do about invasive lizards?
Okay,
Or their
invasive
target
lizards.
lizard
Yeah.
list.
Okay, so I'll talk to
Yeah, and I'll do
Sanibel,
some
so then,
research too and see what I come up with.
like FWC and see what they
is-
suggest, or,
Come up with a plan
and then,
and I'm gonna go to the council meeting Monday. I have to give a report for Crab and I can also ask them for more direction too.
okay, I'll do, all right.
Hi, Lee. Okay, I'm just going to bring you up to date here. This is, we did talk about this. Do you have more information? Why don't you come on up? Sure. Let's do this, it's kind of public comment anytime, but let's be, just make it effective. So of the 21 boat deaths, do you know the details, like where were they?
No.
When were they?
What
No.
area?
And those were all
Lee
boats?
County.
That's it.
Those are all boats?
So maybe FWC could narrow that down more.
WC has a database. Yeah.
But yeah, 21 in Lee County.
So that, but Lee County is all the way,
Of course.
Pine
The
Island.
Pine Island and-
But
Bonita,
Collier's large
and the-
too,
and the
Martin's
Bay,
large.
and the-
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you got large counties all throughout Florida. So that's the fact. It's just 21 to 3. We could poke holes whatever way we want. But the fact is, it's 21 in Lee County. Even if it's 3 here in our waters, which I'm sure it's probably more than that, we can just still do something. And quite frankly, just like the
again.
straw band. Oh, he's leaving. You leaving? Wait, hang on one second. I just had a quick question for you. Because, I know.
So
Real quick before you head out, because here's regarding the glyphosate. There's other Florida municipalities. This isn't new. This has been going on for quite some time. So I don't know, I hear you guys are reaching out to some other counties, which I think is good. But there was a commissioner, his name's Ken Russell, over in Miami, and he sponsored the resolution in Miami that was just recently passed. And there's actually several counties in Florida, pretty much every
Okay, I'm just
town. No, real quick.
interject just for a second, because Miami didn't ban glyphosate. They banned their contractors and employees from
No, they
using it.
did ban it. They just did in June 5th to be exact.
I
Key
think-
West did, Martin County did.
I read it, it was direction for their contractors and employees.
It's only on city property. They didn't do it
Exactly,
for private citizens.
exactly. It's only on city property.
Correct.
So it's a step in the right direction. But just so you know, Key West, Martin County, Miami, Miami Beach, North Miami, Satellite Beach, and Stewart have all done that. So I'm just saying, and then pretty much everyone in California has done it. I got a whole list of every single
Yeah,
city.
Lee, but I'm going to
California's
pull you back to our topic that we're
Yeah,
talking about.
I just wanted to catch him because I hear
No,
all
I'm aware
these
of that.
discussions
But we're
about it.
doing, this is kind of not a proper conversation in a public venue like this
Okay.
with the attorney. So let's stick to the agenda, what we're talking about.
Gotcha.
And if you have questions for the attorney or
I just, too
for
bad
anything
he's
else-
leaving. No, go
Yeah.
ahead. So go ahead.
No, okay, thanks again. Okay, so, yeah, but like, let's say that 15 of the deaths happened in one spot or in one area or from one preventable thing, then it gives us a direction to where we can effectively apply pressure, whatever pressure we can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
'Cause
but
we want to be
I hear what you're
effective.
saying, but let's just say hypothetically, if they don't know exactly where they are, then what? So we don't do anything? Whether it's education, and going back to my point earlier with the no straw, the no plastic straw ban, which I think is awesome and everyone's adhering to it. Quite frankly, I don't think the restaurants would go back. So, and other cities are following us, right? So I think it would be also good to take the lead. And if we took the lead, perhaps some other towns within Lee County could follow the lead. So I'm just throwing out some ideas as a concerned citizen. And we can do more research before we take any action. It seems like that's the norm here on Fort Myers Beach. But you know, I think we could take action sooner than later and perhaps help some of these deaths. But I'd be more than happy to help you find out, or if you have anyone on your team, that we could try to narrow it down exactly where the 21 deaths in Lee County took place. 3 in your backyard, I don't know. I really
Well,
don't
you know,
know.
you understand, the more, you know, it's good to go armed with knowledge
Well,
instead of.
I think it's pretty
more
good
the better.
knowledge. I mean, I don't know what really, I think it's irrelevant where. I think overall, we have a problem in Lee County, we could lead the way. It's as simple as that. Or we can wait. So we'll wait. And I'll do more research and bring it back to you. And if you guys find anything, that would be great as well.
We'll look into it and figure out if we can come up with an effective plan, not just a plan.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, I actually gave an effective plan to town council to start. And that kind of goes to my other comment regarding, you know, it just seems at the beach here, this is just my own observation, because when I heard you guys talking about the turtles, I find it interesting that I think you mentioned it was a shuffleboard light.
That's right.
And is that a condo unit?
Yes,
So is there a fine that could be implemented?
certainly.
And that's going to happen?
I hope so.
Well, see, that's the question. I hope so, because it should be black and white. And if there's rules in place, what I see a lot is we so try to perhaps incorporate stewardship, which I think is a good thing, but there's a time when people just don't adhere to the rules, don't respect the rules, and don't care. So my question is, I just see a lot of kind of this, well, let's talk about it later, let's put it on the back burner, or let's adjourn and get back to it next week, you know, or let's talk to town council about it. But what I don't really see, and I would like to help any way that I can when you talked about the plan, I brought a plan to town council. So we could start with that plan. I also brought you information that could tie into that plan that's no cost at all, that can help with the education. We can get Gary that can also help with advertising. So it's not like a major plan that has to be put in place. It's a very simplified, frankly, 3-step plan that we could start tomorrow. So again, you could take all the time you want and kind of try to get more research, or we could try to take some action. And going back to the turtles, I think when you take a look at some other towns, Collier County, to be an example, I think Joanne said Collier's different. Their beaches are actually smaller. If you look at Vanderbilt Beach, it's actually narrower, and the condos are right on the beach. So, you know, you got to really kind of take a look at what some other towns are doing. And I also have a suggestion for 2 other towns and what they're doing with the iguanas. And the conversation at town council, which frankly, as a citizen, I'm a little concerned because the terminology was eradicate, guns, knives, sticks, baseball bats. Personally, I don't want anyone shooting a BB gun, a pellet gun, or any other gun in my neighborhood. And I think it's also important that you understand the invasive versus the non-invasive. But there's numerous towns, clearly this is an issue and they do need to be removed. And there's numerous towns throughout Florida that have done it very successfully, and frankly, they've done it humanely, and no one got hurt, including people. So thank you again, guys, and I'm happy to help any way I can. Just let me know.
Well, forward us the information you have, your
Yeah,
plan, and we'll
can I
have a
get
look
your
at it.
emails?
They're public record.
They are, where do I find them?
Well, mine is Billy Veach, Billy, Veach, at
Okay. Well,
gmail.com.
I don't know if I'll remember all of them. Do you guys have a card?
We don't, you have a card?
I have a card. I can
Okay,
get one on
sure.
the way out. Sure.
I don't have a Murph card.
Here's mine.
No, this is just their personal cards.
It's my personal one. It doesn't have to do with.
And then she can forward it to us.
guys just put all the emails, and then I'll make sure y'all get it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, agenda for the next meeting. Next meeting, I think, is the 12th of September. And we will get the turf grass off of that.
Did we finish member comments?
Oh, no, we did not. Sorry.
I have a member comment.
All right, fire away.
Sorry.
No, thank you for clarifying that.
No, I always have a comment, and I know people are like, oh, my God.
No, we like your comments, Shannon.
Okay, well, since I don't have a whole lot to do with glyphosate or fertilizer anymore, I was thinking, Anita made a comment one time about nobody plants oak trees. And no, there's only 60% native plant that's required, and nobody plants the big trees. You know, they plant a lot of palms, some of the non-native palms. Nobody plants oak trees. So I was trying to get the, as you know, the tree ordinance changed so that you can't cut down any native trees. They're already protected, but there's a clause in there that says, you know, anyway. So I was trying to think of how do you get people to do something. Of course, you motivate people with money. So I was going to see if I could get a grant, maybe from NOAA, maybe from Arbor Day Foundation, to have the town hopefully administer a program, if I could get a grant, to have a contractor pay to remove an invasive tree and have native tree of their choice replace it. And then it's free, and they don't have to pay, and you hit a nice tree. I know some tree companies will take care of the tree for a year, part of the contract. So this is just something that I'm thinking about. I didn't know if you guys want to give me some feedback, what you think, if this is like a really lame idea, or if it's a waste of time, or I don't know.
Sounds great. I mean, really, it sounds like a
Yeah,
great
I think-
Yeah,
program.
I think so.
For sure.
Because there's tons of trees that you see that really should
The
be.
umbrellas are everywhere, and they're really irritating. I'll talk to people about them, and they say, oh, well, I'm not going to cut that down because I like the shade.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
what's better than an oak for shade? You know, some of the jacaranda, there's some huge,
Oaks are great.
gorgeous native trees. The one that's orange all year, and it looks like a big
And oaks are,
safari.
big oak is like an ecosystem.
I love the
Yeah,
oak trees.
yeah.
I love them. And it's true that people are cutting them down, or some of them, you know, sometimes they rot or they have a disease, or there's one in the middle of your lot and you want to put your house there, so there it goes. So, and Anita made a good point. There's not a whole lot of oaks left. So I kind of wanted to promote native trees, and especially the big ones. But, you know, they're practically hurricane-proof. They kind of go like this, and they're native. They've lived here forever, and
Well, you can.
they love the salt.
I actually saw this on one of these bike things. There's a place in Florida where they have these giant fans. I mean, you know, like semi-trucks. They stack up 4 deep, and they blow them on trees, and they practice how to trim them, and they call it drafting,
Yeah.
so that they don't blow down as well.
Yeah,
And
they train people how to train.
had to train.
trim
And I
them.
haven't have a card on it, but I found I had a rental house in an oak tree, and I had a guy out there that said, I want the drafter for the wind, and he just went and made it into a giant oak shrub.
Yeah.
Didn't the town have a
They had a green.
tree, a native,
Yeah,
green program?
but they stopped it because it was kind of hard to do because you had to get at least 3 neighbors in a row to do it with you. And if it was a rental, you know, like every other house is a rental,
Well, I
and
know
then,
what you're talking about, that program, but wasn't
Right.
there actually, they actually had plants. They had, was it subsidized, maybe? The
I don't
town
know.
had tree, yeah.
was it a while ago?
It's within the last 8 years.
I don't, yeah.
I don't remember, I remember earlier than later.
Giving out trees?
Yeah, almost like an Arbor Day thing. I don't know if they were giving away or they were subsidizing
Well,
somehow the,
I got a free tree from Arbor Day Foundation. No
but
shipping,
that
no
was the
nothing.
Arbor Day Foundation. Yeah,
Right,
this was
and
somehow the
no,
town was
it
involved
was-
with it.
Yeah, this I just found on that magazine that they give out,
Hmm.
Florida Gardener magazine, and I thought, oh, really? I can get a free tree? Went online, oh, free tree, and now it's 12 feet high.
What was it? What kind?
I thought it was native because I know, because the list said for Florida. So,
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
so I picked a pink trumpet tree, which is Florida friendly. It's not.
Oh, it's
But
not
it
native.
gets huge.
Oh, that's
I
Yeah.
wanted a huge tree, and I got this, and now it's,
Too big.
no, it's great. I
Oh.
love it. It's got little pink flowers on all the time, and I don't fertilize it, I don't water it, and it's great. So, and it's not invasive. It's Florida friendly. So, that was a good deal. It was a free tree. I didn't even pay shipping. Came right to my front door. So I'm thinking something like this to really encourage people to do something about their invasives.
Rob
which-
up, please do it,
Okay,
Shannon.
so that
Please
was just
do.
my, all right.
I can help you, I will.
If you can drum up some kind of grants particularly, because
Yeah,
that
grant
takes
money.
one big argument that people would have. You know, I know
Yeah.
that's something that Rexanne mentioned before in council is when the Stero gets done, she wants to talk about trees, and more trees. Now,
Yeah, because a lot of them were cut down when they were
yeah.
putting the,
Oh, and-
starting this work, and they need to be replaced.
and in our house,
You cut yours down.
you know, it was a power company. So
Yeah.
they moved the power lines, and now our trees that were not under the power lines now were, and so they just came through and
Oh,
But I think along the power line part of Estero, I don't think you'll be able to plant any trees.
No, not under them.
Because, you know, maybe they'll have, you know, or I can talk to, like, again, I know all these arborists. I'm going to be, you know, spend a week with them here in next month to talk about, to explain the situation and say, what kind of trees can we put that won't block also the line of sight and can grow under power lines, because
Right.
for most of them, I have a buddy, he worked for the power company, he was in charge of trees. They'd much rather see you put a tree there that doesn't grow very tall than put nothing, because you had nothing, then something is gonna grow, and whatever's gonna grow, and it's gonna do its thing. So, on that side, on the other side of Estero, there's, there's this much space. The
Well,
way the
mine is just
sidewalk
gonna
is.
be purely
Sunflowers.
trees, I think.
Yeah.
I just wanna promote, because trees really affect water quality. They affect drainage. So,
Not necessarily pine trees.
well, there's only one native pine.
Okay, good. Ones that the wildlife will like also, something that
Oh, yeah.
produces
Cabbage
food.
palm trees, and then they produce a lot of food. Oak
Good.
trees, that's got a little acorn, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of native trees
Good.
that are zero maintenance.
It'd also be me good, I wonder if we can get some, and I'll contact my friends about what big trees are good in hurricanes. And I understand like oaks,
the
they don't
natives.
blow over, but they drop some branches. Well, I don't know, I think like the strangler figs, I think they
The
give up
bigger ones
pretty
get
early.
brittle.
Well, look at the one in the Mound House.
Yeah, split in half, yeah.
Who's got space, I mean, the space to grow to strangler fig to full
We have, yeah,
maturity.
well, you start with a small one, and we have a bunch of them growing in our house.
Yeah,
And they're
there's
just kind
little.
of, they're voluntary trees.
Mhm.
And you can keep them trimmed
Travelers,
too. And,
Trimming them, yeah, I suppose that makes.
but they say, like, what's one of the things of wisdom? When you plant a tree knowing that you will never sit in its shade.
Mm. Well, the previous homeowner cut the live oak down in our house, and they just didn't know, and the tree company should have known, and they didn't say anything. They just took their money and cut the tree down. So there's also an element of educating tree companies, and if you're someone like me and you see a native tree being cut down, you go up and ask where their permit is.
right.
And if they don't have one, you say, I'm calling code enforcement, and then you find the tree company, or you can potentially find the tree company. So there's a lot of, there's education, and then, there's articles, and there's, I got to get the grant, and we need to advertise, and just making it free, I think, is probably going to motivate some people. So that was my idea, so I'm done.
Okay, sorry, I skipped over that. Steve?
I'll bring in records here that the reusable bag made it in the Chapel by the Sea mailer that they send to their snowbirds while they're out.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
they did get some bags, I believe, and are distributing them to their residents that have responded to them, that they want a bag when they get back, so.
I gave some to the homeless people, because I've seen some homeless walk
Right,
around with them.
absolutely,
It's the
right.
tax-paying
for their
homeless,
table,
yeah.
Oh, when I
got the
was-
table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Oh, no, when I went out to the Baptist farmers market, I noticed a lot of the guys carrying the bags
Yeah.
after that. But hey, that's fine. They're
It's
not
better than a
plastic.
plastic bag,
They're on the island, they're using them.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Anything else, Steve?
Nope, just send you the sign photos. So that's done, and that's it.
Okay, Mary Rose?
No, we spoke about the sea turtles, and we're very pleased. I don't know if it's 111 or 112 nests. It's either 111 or 112, one or the other, and one of them being a first green turtle nest.
Yep.
That,
Fort Myers Beach.
and it has hatched successfully.
Oh, great.
40-some hatchlings for sure made it into the water, and we're thrilled with that. We don't know where it's going to go, but
Oh, yeah.
the only way
Well, they'll come
is
back
up,
in 30 years, huh?
at least. Well, there's probably more out there, next year, who knows what we'll see.
Yeah.
So when was the last new nest? Are they still coming
No,
out?
we haven't had a new nest, I would say 2 weeks, but there was a crawl in Bonita a few days ago, so we still have to carry our gear.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Okay, well, so we're full on hatching mode now. Okay, and I don't have anything. I did all my stuff already, so.
Oh, I could add one more thing. I'm going to speak at the library on the sea turtle season in the beginning of October. So if anyone's interested, they can just check the library agenda. It's at 10:30, I think, on October 3rd.
All right, so like I said, the agenda, we know what items are going to change. I'll probably have to, I'll rework this myself maybe since we're be liaison free. We'll say goodbye to Ray, even though she's not here. I wish her luck up in Orlando. I guess the sea breeze was too cooling here in August for us. We're just going to go to Orlando instead. And with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Okay.
Did we do our agenda for next month?
I just was talking about it. No, I was just talking about it.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll rework it because we know we're going to get rid of the seagrass,
okay.
and we talked about it as we're going.
well, you can put this, because I'll talk about what and who
If
did
it-
he say for me to go to? Oh, who's going to write it?
Oh, who do you send it to?
No, I mean,
I think they wanted you to send the information. What I do?
no, just to Kevin. I had to forward my approval to Kevin.
Right.
I have to get Kevin an email and forward it to everyone.
I would talk to Roger.
My favorite. All right.
You know, I don't know what else to tell you, but you know,
Okay, yeah.
because he's they're on it, and the council is good for this, and so.
Up and everything. Yeah, it feels weird not to have a whole bunch to do, you know? I'm gonna do a little,
Oh, because you think there's not enough going on?
no, like with because I did the fertilizer, I got that hurdle.
Yeah.
I'm done with glyphosate, and I'm gonna ask a few questions about glyphosate, and I'm gonna
Get to it.
You know,
ask a little bit about manatees, and I got a little not like, now what, you know?
you've got a wonderfully active mind, and I'm
That's why I
sure,
came up with the tree thing.
you will come up with all kinds of new things.
That's my tree.
It'd be nice. I wonder if there's somewhere if there's a summary of every preemptive law that the Florida legislature has done.
Yeah.
you're gonna knock on the glass, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna knock on the glass.
We're going to go have an unofficial meeting outside.